Welcome back. Let's talk about random numbers in Java. Before we get started, smack that like button and let's go. So, much like the scanner, you will actually need to create a random generator object, and this also means you'll need to import it. So you'll notice up here we have imported java.util.random. Just like scanner, we need to do that in order to use random numbers, so make sure to do that. Now, let's create the random number and call it rand. So rand equals new random. Just like scanner, except no system.in here, this is all you need, and now we have a random object. So let's dive right in. We're going to make a random integer from 0 to 9. To do this, we use nextInt 10. So let's go ahead and, by the way, before I continue, the 10 inside of nextInt says we want to start at 0 and go up to 9. The 10 is not included there. It's always -1. So it's important to remember that. Let's go ahead and print this out. Random number between 0 and 9 plus random.nextInt 10. And you can see it's 5 here, and if we were to run that a bajillion times, you would see both bounds, and I'll show you later how you can actually control those bounds and what this prints, but for now, just note that it was between 0 and 9. We can also place this random number in a variable, which we're going to do right here. We're going to make a variable integer, call it myRandomNumber, rand.nextInt10, and let's go ahead and print that out and see what happens. So we'll print this out. My random number is 1. So again, it's still between 0 and 9, and that's actually just a coincidence that these are the same. Let's go to run this again, and you can see now it's 1 and 8, and 8 and 6, and we'll do it one more time for fun, 7 and 7. They are different. One more time because I need them to be different. Okay, they are different, and sometimes they're the same, but that's just the nature of random numbers. Each random instance is different from each other or the same 1 in 10 times. So let's say you want a specific range. Let's say you want a number that is represented between 30 and 45 and will include 30 and 45. So let's go ahead and do that. So we actually want to do nextInt 16. Now, you could think about it for a second. Pause the video and think about why this would be, why this would work. I'll give you like 2 seconds. All right, I'm going to assume you either paused or don't care to pause. So 16, because the 16 itself is not included. So this is numbered between 0 and 15, and we're just going to add 30. So thinking about that, if it's 0, then you add 30, it's 30. If it's 15, because 16 is not included, it goes down 1, so it's actually 15. 15 plus 30 is 45. So it actually stands to reason that you would need to put 16 plus 30, or the random number 16 plus 30, in order for it to be between 30 and 45. Let's go ahead and run it, and you'll see 38 is in fact in between the range of 30 and 45. So let's see why this works. I'm going to actually show you what this looks like in a more plain way. 0 plus 30, that's the minimum range, and 16 minus 1, because remember this is -1. Whatever's in the random generator is -1. So 16 minus 1 plus 30, and this will show you the bounds, 30 and 45. Now, there's just saying n minus 1, which means itself it's not included. And I think we've hammered that down enough, so let's move on. It's also conceptually relevant to know that the numbers generated are not actually random, but are instead pseudo-random. What this means is that it appears random, but it's actually using a seed that is generated by using your machine's current time. And since time marches forward no matter what, the seed will continue to be unique with each run. So if I were to run this 1,000 times this hour, time still went forward no matter what. Even if it's just a millisecond went by, that is a different time, and the program will use a different seed. This is how it appears to be random, but in truth, it is not random. So say you had a time machine, maybe you're super rich, maybe you're Elon Musk levels of richness, you could go back in time and know the exact randomness of a very specific point in time. But as far as I know, that does not exist, so you don't have to worry about that. It is completely random. With all that said, you may want to control the randomness in your program. This is possible by setting the seed, and I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. So we're going to do rand.setSeed 8675309. Now, this will put a seed in there, and it will allow me to set what the random generator will start at. So no matter how many times I run the line I'm about to create, it's always going to be the same number. So let's get a random number between 0 and 9,999,998. Remember, it's -1. And let's go ahead and I'll throw a wild guess. I'm going to say it's 895,297. You know, I know it's a heck of a long shot, but let's try it out. All right, and the random number is 895,297. Wow, and my guess was 895,297. I somehow guessed it perfectly. I'm an excellent guesser when I know the answer beforehand. Why did that work? Before we move on to the comprehension check, just think about that. Why did that work? Well, that's because I ran this before I ever showed you guys. So I knew exactly what the answer was going to be. So don't be deceived by that. If the seed is set, it's always going to be that number. Look, I'm just going to keep running this, and no matter what, it is always going to be the same because the seed has been determined. Now for the comprehension check. We got 2 questions this time. And the first one is, how would you generate a random number between 1 and 10? And the second one, this one's a little tricky. How would you generate a random number between -10 and -20? I'm going to give you 5 seconds. Go ahead and pause the video, try this out for yourself, and come back to learn the answer. All right, welcome back. Let's go over the answers to these problems. So, I'll make seeds to show you the bounds, but you didn't have to make seeds. This is just to show you the bounds a little more easier. So, answer 1, this is the minimum bound to answer 1. I'm going to set the seed to 0, and the next line is the one you actually should have came up with. So, the answer is equal to rand.nextInt plus 1, or rand.nextInt 10 plus 1. This was the answer you should have came up with. And let's go ahead and print this out and see this is going to be the minimum, and you can see it is 1. And I knew that because I set the seed. Now let's look at the maximum bound, and again, we're just going to go ahead and print all this out. I set the seed to 9 because I know beforehand that it's going to show the maximum bound, which is 10. And as you can see, this worked because it was 0 plus 1 is 1, and 9 plus 1 is 10. And those are the bounds. So answer number 2, now this one was a little trickier, but the bounds must be positive. But no matter that, you don't have to worry about it. We can subtract. So, minimum bound, and we're going to set the seed to 0. Again, you didn't need to do that. This next line is the one you should come up with. Rand.nextInt 11 minus 20. Now, why? Because it's from 0 to 10. 0 minus 20, what's that? -20. Then we got 10 minus 20. What's that? Well, that's -30. So, let's go ahead. Oh, actually, that's -10. I'm sorry. I can't math. You knew what I meant. I knew what I meant, at least. I don't know. Maybe you knew what I meant. So let's go ahead and run that. Between -10 and -20, and this is the minimum bound. So this is the smaller number. Now let's look at the max number. I'll go ahead and set the seed to 12 because I know beforehand what that's going to produce. Same exact line right there. And boom, -10. Now you can see the bounds are -10 to -20, which does work, and that's exactly what we wanted. All right, and so that's pretty much it for this video. As you can see, the seed can be helpful for debugging, so if you ever want to control the randomness, make sure to remember how to use the seed, or you know how to look it up at least. And that's all it takes. So please like the video, check out the playlist for more Java learning greatness, and I'll see y'all later.